Hi guys, this is Greg with Walnut Ridge Family RV Sales here in Memphis, Indiana. The weather's been beautiful down here in southern Indiana the last week or so. A lot of people are thinking about the next coming months, getting ready for camping season. A lot of things that we typically don't talk about or people don't necessarily think about are items that you should bring with you while you're traveling, camping throughout that season. So I've made up a tool bag of the things that I would probably bring if I was camping. And now some of the stuff, you don't have to have all of it. I could maybe go a little overboard because I like tools. And I've kind of accounted for almost most scenarios that I've seen before. So this is more of a pick list. You can kind of pick and choose, but this is the stuff that I would recommend that you carry with you in your truck or in the camper so that you always have in case of any problems while you're going down the road. So the first thing, I would go ahead and have a drill, impact driver, something like that, not only to put a 3/4 inch socket if you have standard stabilizing jacks, the new Lippert quick drop jacks, or standard jacks that run down with a crank. That's a 3/4 inch socket. You can get that on an adapter on your drill, run them up and down like that. You can also they make the ones for the electric stabilizing jacks. On the opposite side, on the off-door side, there's a stud with a pin that goes through it. It takes a special socket. Or if you have some old sockets, you can find one that fits over the tube and then just cut a slot into it. And that way you can run it up manually if you ever had to. The other thing you would want a drill for is anything else that you'd use a drill for. I'd have a number 2 square bit and a Phillips bit handy with you. Most RVs, almost all of them, use a number 2 square bit on the main screws that are everywhere inside the RV. They hold, all the trim on the outside, cabinet doors, things like that. It's typically the black square head. You could also use a Phillips, but the number 2 fits better. So have you a couple bits. I would also carry some drill bits, just in case. You may get a set that has a few drill bits, but it also has different size nut drivers or different bits, maybe Allen hex keys, something like that. So you can get a nice little set like this that has a little bit of everything, $20 or so, and throw that in your tool bag. Next, I would have some way of checking your tire pressure. This is one of the most important things. You can get a standard pin style gauge to check, or if you have other battery powered items like Milwaukee or DeWalt or Ryobi, a lot of those have tire inflators now too, which is a lot more convenient than trying to either find a place that you can pull into and air up a tire, or carrying around an air compressor. But if you don't have anything like that, if you have a small air compressor, it wouldn't hurt to keep one of those somewhere handy, because you never know when the tire could start to go low, and having a way to fill it up is ideal, especially if you're out really far away from civilization. The other thing I would carry as a pair of gloves, preferably 2, not 1. But you never know if you have to pull a tire or something on the side of the road, blow out, things like that. That brings me to the other thing that I didn't bring out here, but an impact. Same, again, you can go with the same brand that you use for a drill, but an electric impact, or at least a good solid breaker bar or ratchet that you can remove the tires, the rims, if you did have a blowout or something, you caught something, picked it up while you're traveling. You definitely don't want to be going high speeds with a nail in the tire. So along with that, it wouldn't hurt to have a bottle jack. A 20-ton bottle jack or so would be small enough to keep in the storage that's kind of out of the way, but you'll still be able to jack the camper up if needed for any reason. So of course, you always carry few screwdrivers, flatheads, Phillips heads, variety of different sizes. You don't have to have a big case like this, but a nice set of fuses, 30s, 15s, 40s, and it wouldn't. Sometimes these sets like this have the smaller ones that are for the truck. A lot of the camper side of most RVs of the trucks, the camper side, the 7-way side, essentially uses different fuses. So, and a lot of times they're these smaller ones. So you can check on your vehicle and see what fuses you need and keep a little array of those in a case. An outlet tester doesn't hurt. That's not something that you have to have on you at all times, but it doesn't hurt to be able to check the outlets if one's ever not working, just to see if you have power issues going on. Lighter, never hurts to have one of those every day. A little case or some kind of assortment of wire connectors, butt-to-butts, 3-way connectors, crimpers, things like that, in case you run into a wire that's split. Along with that, electrical tape has a million uses. Some Gorilla Tape wouldn't hurt to bring with you also. Tape measure, might not need that, but might not be important as a tool, but it doesn't hurt to keep one with you. I'd recommend having a array of zip ties, a few different sizes. You never know if something falls or drops down. Wiring underneath sometimes comes loose, and that way you can zip it up to at least get it home till you can get it completely patched up the correct way. Doesn't hurt to have some super glue. Putties. These are wood putties that you can pick up at any hardware store, Home Depot or Lowe's, somewhere like that. You can find the closest match to the RV. This isn't necessarily an emergency type tool, but this is something nice to have. You know, if you the little nail holes that you'll find randomly, scuffs and scrapes, it doesn't hurt to have either putty and or furniture markers, different colors. You can buy a set of them. Dark walnut's a super popular color that tends to blend with a lot of campers over the years. So you can pick up a few, and that way if you need to touch something up while you're on the road, you can. Sharpie, keep that in there. Small little, this is a small screwdriver. Flashlight, extremely handy for any time. I have a set of Allen keys in here just in case. Not a lot of things are Allen or hex head on an RV, but it doesn't hurt. Some putty tape, that's rarely used, to keep a small little roll of it in case something does come loose. Most of like the trim on the outside or vents up top, things like that you maybe have came off or you've knocked something off, if you had to put it back on and screw it down, that's where that would come in handy. Some basic strippers, crimpers for your wiring fittings that we showed earlier. Variety of different pliers, needle nose or standard pliers. And then what else you can use those for is, it wouldn't hurt to keep a small little bundle of just standard brad nails with you. Nobody's going to carry a brad nailer around, and even though a lot of them come electric nowadays, they're still pretty expensive and probably not something that you're going to want to buy to maybe use once a year. So if you keep the brad nails with you, what I like to do is I will take the set and I can break off one of the brad nails and put it, hold it some way. And then if there's a loose piece of trim, I could hold it flush and pound that brad nail in, and that way you're doing the same thing as the gun does, but without having to have an air compressor and all that, or spend the money on a nail gun. So that's nice to keep around. There's some rubber gloves to go with your when you're dumping your tanks and things like that. If you're a little bit more advanced, you can keep a multimeter with you. That's more of an honorable mention type of thing. I would keep, along with slide out maintenance and things like that, the slide lubricant for the gears and rails underneath also comes in handy for squeaky doors, door locks. I like to spray those every once in a while, stick my key in and squirt a little bit into the door lock to um, keep those working like they should. And then probably the last, one of the most important things is to have a caulk gun with you with clear silicones, usually the most popular depending on the sides of the unit, what color the sealant is. And then you'll also want to have a tube of either Dicor, Alpha, whatever brand of roof membrane that you have, and the sealant that's on the roof. That way you can check it, if you have some free time, or if you do have a leak or something that pops up while you're traveling, you have a way of sealing that up, and so it doesn't get water damage over the time of your trip. So there's a bunch of other things that you could bring. I'm sure there's some things I forgot, but this is a good array of some basic items that may never use, hopefully never have to use except for a few of them. But if you did and you know how to use them, it's going to help you out a lot when you're on a trip and you're far away from a dealer, things like that. So that's pretty much it for everything this week. We'll see you next Friday with another service tip video. See you then.